In today's video we're going back to our origin, setting foot back onto our starter islands. As nice as it was building the harbor city next to our little tower in the last episode, it is just time to get back to our starter area again. And not just because the area looks quite nice. I just haven't forgotten about the islands over here yet, and we're not done with them. Since I have a lovely plan for today's episode, because we're building the last, I'd say, a larger island here, with a couple of twists though, of course. And the location for the island will be exactly here, since it's quite flat and accessible for building an island, since we don't have to drag the terrain too far down into the ocean. So, having a small plan in mind, we gotta make sure we have the resources needed for this little project. Luckily, we do still have around 20 shulkers full of materials from building the harbor city in the last episode, and there's still some resources left over here in the starter base if I'm not completely wrong. So we shouldn't have to farm too many materials. As you can see, like, there is no stone and we probably do not have enough coal ore. So those two things we definitely do have to farm. So we're gonna take a couple of shulkers for a little farming trip, or a large one, since we need at least one shulker full of coal ore. But sure, why we need so much coal ore, you might ask? Shading and coloring. It just happens to be one of the best blocks for creating grayish color gradings for terrain, in my opinion at least. So I kind of found myself using it quite a lot, as some of you guys probably already noticed. Even when building certain buildings, it can come in quite handy. And after finally getting enough coal ore, we're going over to a little island close to our harbor city. Starting off by putting down a beacon and removing the trees on the island. I want to completely remove the island over here to connect the two oceans that we have on either side, to make it one basically. On the other hand, it will also give us quite some stone and resources that we can use for future builds. But for now, we don't need as much, so it's just another 20 minutes of mining here, I'd say, and then we should have enough. And that might do it already. Do you think that 6 shulkers full of stone should be fine if I'm not wrong? So we just quickly grab the shulkers and then we're good here. We can just leave the beacon, since at some point I get more stone from here, so that's alright. Back at home, we don't have to farm any other materials, since there's still quite some spread around the base. So quickly grabbing quite some of the deep slate and the moss and cobblestone to make mossy cobblestone. And after the crafting, there's just some stuff left, like smooth basalt and something here and there, like andesite and dirt basically. And after putting all the materials together, we have 18 shulkers full of materials for the island, which should be more than enough hopefully. So we'll quickly grab them and then head out to get some fresh air and build the terrain of today's island. Size-wise, it will probably be around the same as this island, and in terms of the shape, it would be like a half moon or a sea kind of. Like there's gonna be a little bay basically. But for now, enough yapping. It's finally time to build something and make this island come to life. Alright, we got the largest part of the terrain in. We just don't talk about the terrain underwater. We don't do that here. I mean, we will connect it later on with the ground while detailing, probably. We'll see. But before we do the fancy stuff underwater and all the detailing, we have to give this island a purpose. I mean, I can't just sit here around doing nothing, right? And this is where the Nether portal over here comes in. Since the portal over there leads to the Nether roof, where we have a little goat farm. So I can't just leave it there standing in the open. I mean, just doesn't work like that. So you guys guessed it right. The island we built is mainly for the Nether roof access and the Nether portal. Everything else is just fancy stuff that looks good. But since a portal in one episode isn't enough, we're also gonna build a little bartering farm. Simply because we'll need the resources that we'll gain from the farm for future builds, especially the blackstone. So we'll quickly grab enough netherrack for the spawning platform and all the redstone stuff over here so we can build the automated sorting system. Since I wanted to build the farm a while ago already, I do think we have all the redstone stuff crafted already. There's not much to do except for grabbing everything from the chest real quick. I mean, a simple bartering farm is literally just an item sorter, so it doesn't require as much resources and isn't complicated at all. Aside of a bartering farm, we kinda have to make an iron farm though at some point, because farming iron by hand is just pure pain, not gonna lie. It's taken way too long, especially when making other farms or for larger builds and detailing. The amount of iron needed to get all the lanterns and hoppers, but that's for another project. Finally in the Nether you can see the little gold farm we have over here, and I do think we're lucky enough that we're already in a Nether waste biome, which means we don't have to go find one and can build a bartering farm literally right next to our gold farm here. So I'd say we're gonna waste no time and put the item sorter down so we can get the farm running. Having the item sorter done, we gotta get over here to build the spawning platform for the piglins. They only spawn on netherrack in the nether waste and crimson forest biome if I'm not wrong. So for now we're just quickly building a spawning platform that's hopefully large enough so we don't have to wait 2 hours for the piglins to spawn. And depending how many piglins you need, it can get quite annoying to be honest. But with the platform done, I realized we only have 6 name tags left, and since I want 20 piglins in the farm, I found myself trading here to get enough emeralds for the remaining name tags. Now with all these emeralds, we should have enough to buy the remaining 13 name tags, I hope. Only to be one of short. No, of course. We really had to be one of short, huh? Anyway, quickly got the last name tag, and now we can get back to the Nether again. But before that, we'll quickly rename the name tags at our base, and with the last one done, it's time to get back to the Nether for a game of tag with the piglins, since they just always seem to run away. I mean, look at this one. Ah, okay, he's in, never mind. That's something at least. And this one follows as well. Oh, okay, never mind. Like, he was literally right here. Anyway, it's gonna take a bit now. But after like 1.5 hours of just waiting for piglins to spawn, we finally have the last one. Now we just remove the netherrack and put some blocks above them, and then we should be pretty much good. Now we just need to get some gold from the gold farm, and then we can put it in the chest over here with the observer clock, and the piglins should start trading. Now we just leave them for a while, and then we should have the first few resources from this farm. So about 50 minutes later, it isn't looking too bad. We have quite a bit now, and with that, the farm part for this episode is done. Which means we just quickly put the shulkers over here to the portal, and then we can head back to our little island, on which we still have a lot to improve actually. Back in our starter area again, we can start with the second part of today's build. Since we don't just want the island to be completely empty, we're gonna tackle the build part next. Like, an actual building, or multiple, kind of. I mean, I'd consider them to be one single part, but you guys let me know. Since you guys already know that I'm obsessed with towers, we're not just gonna build one of them, but 3 today. Of which 2 will definitely be connected by a bridge, and maybe the third one as well. I don't know yet. We gotta see. So that's the plan for the moment, but of course there's also gonna be some additional stuff to the towers and the island. Because if not, it would be kinda boring and feel kinda lifeless, but that's for later. Since right now we have to manage the resources for the next part of the build. And as we already know, there's a huge mess down here, and we have quite a shulker monster. But I think there's no big need to farm any more resources today, since for now it's just gonna be a lot of crafting and sorting. So that's something positive, I guess. But that also means that for the next about 2 hours probably, I have to slave away like this, so I hope you guys enjoyed a few, because there's nothing else to see right now. I'm being serious. This just went on for quite some time until I finally had all the cheers together, of course, but yeah, I'll spare you the details. Having all the shulkers filled up after multiple hours, we can finally grab them now though. And we're finally free. I think we have 24 shulkers in total, all full to the last slot, so there's gonna be quite some stuff to build now. And we can leave the base after all the hours of torture. So, coming over to the island again, I don't want to up too much, so we're just gonna get straight to building and you guys see for yourself how it's gonna turn out. Now we're nowhere near done, don't get me wrong, but we finally have the 3 towers in place and it's looking good so far. And having the towers in place means we can light up and connect the nether portal to the nether roof, which is why we're gonna take a break from building for a minute and do exactly that. So we're quickly grabbing the cords and then we can light up the portal over here. And then we can go to the nether roof and just build a portal on the same exact cords divided by 8, and that's basically it. Now it should go exactly over here if I'm not wrong. So we'll just put the blocks down real quick and yeah, I'm too lazy for that. Yeah, I do know that I would have been faster if I took another block, but I'm just stupid sometimes. Either way, we're done with this one now. And the portal connected, which means we finally have a proper portal to get to the nether roof. Now that's all for the nether stuff for today. And we can put our focus back to the building part, since there's still quite some stuff that we have to improve. I mean, the towers are mostly done, but almost the entire island needs an overhaul. So for now, it's time to tackle all of that. Now, to make the island better step by step, I started off with adding a few pathways to access the different parts of the island. That also includes adding another wall to flatten up the terrain for the pathway over here, as well as a little bridge in this area. Aside from the pathways, the island terrain still had to be connected with the ocean ground. And when I tell you that it's one of my favorite activities in Minecraft, I also have to tell you that I'm quite a sarcastic person. So after the horrendous activity, I decided to make the shores more muddy and dirty, basically all around the island, to create more contrast and add more color overall. And at last it was time to add another kind of structure to the island. 2 little abandoned or broken docks on the north side of the island. Now, it doesn't just look nice here, but it also adds to the world building since this island group relies on fish as their main food source. So having a couple of docks here just makes sense, since the larger fishing and eventually trading boats or ships do have to dock somewhere on the islands. I mean, in some way they have to get their food, right? And with all of the little improvements that we just added, the rough design of the island is more or less done. I mean, the docks aren't looking too bad, there's some cargo and resources spread around, and if you come over here, there's shelter for a potential fisherman over here. So we might have to put a villager here at some point. But for now, I'd say we'll leave it empty. But maybe some copper golems could work as well. Now, while the exterior of the island is not done yet, the interior is pretty much good already, I'd say. All the 3 towers do have an interior with different functions, sort of. In this one we have a little boat storage at the bottom, since it's the closest to the bay. And there are definitely some repairs that have to be done on some boats every now and then. And above this floor we have some living quarters for the workers on the island. With not much, to be honest, since there's not too much space in the tower sadly, so interiors are a bit difficult. Now, if we go up on our floor, you can see that I incorporated a little spiral staircase and left out quite some floors to create a better atmosphere and sense of scale for the tower. And I used the same concept for the other 2 towers as well, with just different storage and resources inside of them to give all of them a different purpose. For the third one over here, I created a little library instead of spamming bars all across basically. And yes, you can use the staircase, it's just a bit, I'd say, inconvenient. But yeah, if you come up to the top, you have 1 or even 2 more floors. In this case here, we have some more living quarters for commanders. And as you've already seen, the 2 taller towers are connected by this bridge here. Going back to this tower over here, we have a little blacksmith for them. To not just be able to repair their weapons, but of course also sharpen them again. And of course enough storage for armory and all of that. And at the very top we can find ourselves next to a little ripped apart flag, as another little detail that I thought was very fitting. Now last but not least we can't forget the communication room, which contains of a lot of bird cages for maybe ravens or falcons that send and bring back letter from and to the island. I mean, they didn't have any phones back then, and communication was and probably still is one of, if not the most important thing, especially when living on islands like these. Now with the little interior showcase done, there's just the exterior left, and there's still quite some to do, believe it or not. I mean, if you just look over there for a second, you can see there's quite some grass and more than literally 0 foliage on the island. So that's definitely one thing that we have to tackle. But before all that, I finally want to spawn-proof the entire island, since I can't stand the zombies and all the other mobs making sounds 24/7. Not even mentioning the creeper blowing holes in it. So for now it's time to put torches under quite some moss carpet and finally making the island safe. Which sadly takes quite some time, but after adding all the torches underground, there were only a couple of glow lichen left to place, and then the entire island should be completely spawn-proof by now, I think. I just hope I covered every single area, and if not, we'll find out soon enough, I guess. And with that finally done, it's time for the foliage part, and I gotta be honest, I'm kinda lazy with it, since I'm using mainly bone meal for the grass, instead of farming it manually. But with all this bone meal we should be fine, hopefully. Now we go to our little underground lab here to grab some firefly bushes and normal bushes, and once we have those now, I think we're pretty much set. Mainly because we still have quite some foliage blocks in our shulkers, though I'll be honest. But with everything together now, we can start making this island feel more alive, since without any grass or flowers and foliage, it just looks way too plain. The thing with bone meal is that you can overdo it easily, so I just removed what's too much in my opinion to not make it too crowded in flowers, grass and bushes. And once I'm done with bone mealing, I'm going back to adding another couple of plants and foliage like firefly bushes as well as the normal bushes, and of course some dead bushes eventually as well. Aside of that, we also can't forget about the seagrass underwater, which does a lot, but also keeps it quite simple. It's like not much to do. And in the end, I want to add a few vines here and there to make it a bit overgrown at least. Now with all the vines added and some more foliage like mushrooms and drip in the water, of course, it's looking quite good and it seems like it's slowly coming to life. I mean, it doesn't look like a dead island anymore, which is quite positive, I'd say. Now, putting all of the detailing and terrain stuff aside, there's still one huge part missing, which is the shipwreck, as you guys guessed right. The place where we're gonna build the shipwreck will be over here, since it's perfectly fitting in the rule of thirds from this angle over here, and It puts more weight and interest on the left side. To put it into simple words, we have a lot on the right side already, and the left here was quite empty, so it's quite literally the perfect spot for us. Now, in order to build the shipwreck, we'll quickly grab the last few shulkers, and then we're ready to put it into place, I'd say. Now, we just get back over here, and then it's finally time, after all we did today, for the shipwreck. So enough yapping for now, and you guys see for yourself. Now we do have it finally in our world. The shipwreck is done, as well as the island, at least for now I'd say. And if we get over here, you can see that there's a lot going on the shipwreck. Overall, I tried to make it quite damaged, but not completely destroyed, so there's still signs of life going on, such as the cargo and beds over here, for example. So the main shape of the ship is still there. I just only cut it in half. I put some holes in here and there and just make it look destroyed a bit. Now, if you come over here, you can see that I put the ship parts at quite an angle, so I obviously couldn't make it as detailed on the scale as I wish I could have. And I'll be honest, I did use XM to rotate a normal ship that I've designed to this angle for the right shape. And then I fixed up everything and changed the color palette and a bit more. Now, I also added a few rudder boats to the area as a little detail, and I would say with all of that together, it turned out pretty nice. And lore-wise, the ship was anchoring in the open until quite a heavy storm made the anchor snap, and the ship shattered at some rocks over there. Now, the last thing I want to add, you guessed it right, are a few copper golems to actually add a living being on the island. So that's 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. Now that should be good enough, hopefully. And with the last touch finally added, that basically means we're coming to the end for today's video. So I want to thank you guys for watching for so long, and I really hope you did enjoy it. And if you are interested in a world download, you can find that one down below. Aside of that, feel free to join the Discord, and I guess I'll hear you guys in the next one.